I think another thing that we've done since almost the beginning is we pay ourselves a salary, just like any other employee. So the business has to learn and adapt to covering our salaries.
Yeah.
And our salaries are based on what we think our worth is. So, our salaries fall into that overhead. And then if there's profit at the end of the year, that's ours too. But you kind of have to plan on paying yourself through the whole thing, not just hope there's a profit at the end that's going to pay you.
This is the Wealthy Contractor Podcast, brought to you by gFour Marketing. Interviews with today's top home improvement entrepreneurs about marketing, sales, money, mindset, and lifestyle. Now, here's your host, Brian Kaskavalciyan.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. This is Brian Kaskavalciyan with gFour Marketing Group. And today I have got with me Michael and Linda Olen from Olen Roofing. And we're going to find out it's actually two different spellings. It sounds the same, two different spellings. We're going to find out about that today. And then also joining me is Addie Kaskavalciyan, my business partner. And I thought I saw Michael and Linda at an event a few weeks ago, and we were chatting in the bar, and they've been clients for quite a while now. And we had a fun conversation talking about, husbands and wives working together. And then I heard a little bit more about their story, and I thought, wow, they would make incredible guests because they've been doing this for a while, and they have, not to embarrass anybody, but I think they're doing very, very well. Let's put it that way. I think when we say wealthy contractor, here's two more that we could, put into that bucket. And so I asked them to come on and have a conversation. I want to learn more about how they started, how they stay married. I kind of have a couple of ideas on that, how they stay married and how they've, grown a business that's allowed them to do fun things and basically not have to be there all the time. So Michael and Linda, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So who wants to tell us the story of Olen Roofing?
The story of Olen Roofing. Well, I mean, the name. We'll start with the name.
First, let's start with the beginning. Was this a business that you were in before you met Linda? Did you start the business together? Give us kind of the history.
I was in business for myself before I met Linda. Started out right out of high school. Kind of the Wild West in your youth, as it always is. Linda was probably the one that once we were dating, got married, that kind of would tame me down so that I'd be a responsible businessman, let me say. And then she probably early on took control of running the office and took the reins. I did the sales and on the installation side. I ran that part of the business, and she ran the office. So it was kind of it was a team, but it was a separate team. So one was in the office and one wasn't in the office. So it worked quite well that way in regards to.
You had a chance to miss each other.
Yeah. to keep our relationship, let me say, in the good runnings. Sometimes that overlapped at night, still does.
Yeah.
We overlap at night or overlap in the morning when you're on personal time, and all of a sudden business encroaches still.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about, if you don't mind, tell us what Olen Roofing. Well, let's talk about the name for a minute. So your last name is Olen, but the
Correct.
business is Olyn. So
So it's the O from my name and Lynn from her name,
Okay.
which gets, as I present it to a lot of my clients, gets a lot more billing than I do.
Nice. Okay, cool. So now we know. Now we know.
Cute.
Now we know where the name comes from. All right. Tell us about the business today. How many people? About how many projects will you complete this year or in the last 12 months?
We have 22 employees as of right now. It's growing. We have ads out everywhere as usual. And the business right now, we have over $1 million in backlog. Probably will complete about 400 jobs this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we do get, it's probably about 67, between 67 and 70. Today, a bunch of stuff came in, so go 67 to 70 jobs to actual jobs to do.
Wow. Cool. And so your business is in Norwood, Massachusetts, which is outside of Boston.
Correct.
Where are you guys today?
Today, we're in Fort Lauderdale.
You're in Fort Lauderdale, but your business is in Massachusetts. How does that work?
Well, thank God with internet and Zoom, and I mean, you don't have to be hands-on anymore. We have a great team. Pardon me?
But most people think that they need to be.
I think it takes a little while to transition yourself from being in your business, as you well know, and as you preach, to working on your business. We've been fortunate enough, probably in the last 10 to 15 years, to be able to kind of step back. I mean, the business now is 47 years old. We've been able to step back and enjoy the fruits of our labor. We do a lot of traveling now. And we spend a lot of time now in Florida.
Cool.
That's awesome. You have an apartment up there, right?
We do, yeah.
We do. And I think EOS has helped a lot with that. It's made the other managers responsible for doing the things they're supposed to be doing instead of us having to stand over them all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back. So the business has been around for 47 years.
49.
He said 47, didn't he?
Well, 47 going on 48.
47 going on 48.
Yeah.
And so let's kind of go back to kind of the early years. You, Michael, you were in the field. I would imagine you were selling, and were you also in charge of production?
I was even on the production crew for quite some time. I'd sell probably in the morning, and I'd stop by and oversee some of the crew, which kind of got a little tumultuous, let me say, because I'd show up at 2 o'clock and start pushing.
Yeah.
As any business owner did early on, but was able to step back from production and then step away once we put team members in place in regards to running production and overseeing sales.
Yeah. So while you were doing that, Linda, you were managing the office, but were you also managing marketing at that time as well?
I'll be honest, in the early years, we didn't do a lot of marketing. It was just a couple of ads in local newspapers and things like that. So I kind of just took care of everything. We had a bookkeeper, but other than that, I answered phones. I just ran the office completely.
So Michael, you started to mention how you were able to start stepping away from selling, away from production. What allowed that to happen?
Hiring new team members to run production, hiring new sales, somebody to run sales. right now, I mean, I don't run the sales meetings any longer. I don't need to. I have qualified people in place running both departments.
But early on, how were you able to make that transition? That's a tough transition for a lot of people to make, is how do I get out of the field, which is really kind of working in your business, to how do I start to work more on my business so I can grow it?
Well, I kind of got a knock on the head when I fell one day. Yeah, and it gives you a wake-up call real fast.
Was Linda involved in that knocking, knocking on the head?
Well, sort of, actually, sort of, because that's when I stepped in and said to him, this is why you can't do both. And this is why we need to start using subcontractors to do some of the work, because if you can't be there running the crew, then we still have to have crews running.
Mhm.
So I did step in at that point and kind of it was an idea I'd had for a while, so I kind of got my way on that.
How many years into the business are we talking now?
Probably about 20 years in.
Oh, wow, 20 years in.
Yeah.
And that's when, so for the first 20 years, it was you guys doing anything and everything you had to do for the business.
Right.
Plus, Linda was raising a family too. You know, she has, is it 3 daughters?
Four daughters.
4 daughters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael, you were going to say something?
Just it was a transition in life.
Yeah. How did you, a lot of people get stuck in both in the making the decision, okay, this is what I have to do. And then the other thing that's tough is, how am I going to pay for it? Because a lot of people, as you know, in this business, barely make any money. They running the what we call the hamster wheel over and over again. And so how were you able to pay for what you needed in order to make these changes?
That's a really good question. Very hard one to answer, because you don't realize in that transition, you just keep plugging through. And eventually it works. I think the biggest transition we went from was all in-house installers to subs, and that took a lot off your shoulders and enabled you to have more time elsewhere once you were using other contractors to do your work. And I hear it a lot. A lot of these companies now, you become a marketing company more than you become, let me say, a roofing contractor.
Yeah. And
that's kind of where our company went. We really we're in the, let me say, the raving fan business. That's where we really dedicate our time to reviews, to making sure that the teams are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Linda, who was in charge of finance in the early days? I'm talking before that transition was made.
We had a bookkeeper, but as far as making decisions on spending money, it was mostly me. I would just explain to Michael what I thought we needed to do, but I've always been, both personally and business-wise, I'm the financial person.
Okay, so what about then pricing back then? Were you always set up to be profitable?
Yes, we were always considered the higher priced company.
Yeah. And was that was always kind of from the beginning?
Yes.
It was definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So in those first 20 years, you were making money.
Yes.
We were. Okay.
Again, I bring that up because it's a lot of times people say, well, why do you ask such dumb questions? Well, I could ask that of 10 people in the home improvement industry, and very few of them will be able to say, yeah, we always make money.
Well, what I can't understand is how you go through how or why you go through all of this day in, day out without, let me say, a real good reason. And that reason is to take care of your family, to support yourself, your family, and then beyond that, whatever you can do in the community. I guess we get to a point, we don't need any more feathers in our cap. Some of them might still be nice, but you work to eventually enjoy your life.
Let's pause here for a quick break. In today's world, getting a 5-star review on Google from every single one of your customers is critical. This is something that gFour Marketing Group helps hundreds of home improvement and home services companies with every day. So we put together a free 5-star customer experience checklist to help you ensure every one of your customers are getting an experience that will turn them into raving fans. You can get your copy of the customer experience checklist today. Just go to gfourmarketing.com/CEX. The checklist will walk you through 30 points in your customer journey that you can improve today. That way, you'll be able to turn today's customers into tomorrow's leads, sales, and profits. Just go to gfourmarketing.com/CEX. That's gfour marketing.com/CEX to get your copy of the checklist today. Then, when you're ready to automate your relationship marketing so that your customers grow your business for you, just give gFour Marketing a call at 305-856-8788, and we'll give you a free demo to show you how your future business profits are hiding in today's customers. Now let's get back to the episode. What would you say to by the way, for those of you that can see this on YouTube, you look at Michael and Linda and you're like, the math doesn't quite work. Well, especially with Linda, the math doesn't, 47 years, the math doesn't quite work. But, you've put a lot of time into the business. So what would you say to people that are, maybe in their 4th or 5th year of business, maybe they're not making all of the money they could be making? What's some of the advice that you would give to those people?
Pay attention to the people that around you that have made all the mistakes. The seminars, the events that we go to, your event, there's a few others. We're always still learning, and especially today, in the day and age of internet, it's so fast. The information highway is so fast, but listening to your peers, joining the groups, the seminars, 100%, 1,000%.
Yeah.
What about tips for how to work together as a husband and wife?
Well, we have the inside outside
Therapists. What is it? The person you go to moderate and say, no, this time you're right, Linda, or no, this time Michael's right.
Well,
Yeah.
it'll still test the waters.
Yeah,
but
we have an inside outside rule. So
Okay.
if it's anything that involves inside the office or inside the home, I get final decision. And then if it's anything outside the office or outside the home, he gets final decision, if we can't agree.
Okay. So a
Wait.
little explanation around that, right?
Hold on a second, because that sounds to me like my life.
Is it?
Everything inside the house and inside the business, all up to Addie. Anything outside. So
Yeah.
like outside is, so getting the garbage taken out, even that seems to be like on her telling me what to do. So explain the inside outside thing to me.
Well,
By the way-
it started
by the way,
actually when we
Addie,
were
look.
building our home.
47
What?
years,
I know.
I'm getting there. I think I'm getting there, but go on. Inside outside.
it started before we were building our home, but it really took effect when we were building our home, because we would have different thoughts and decisions, and especially on decorating. If I tried stepping on those toes, I was in trouble. So she at least had to give me something. So she gave me outside. So you know,
Okay,
I'll take what I can get.
Okay, so basically what we're talking about is like what I said. So like what the driveway or the grass in front of the house, you get final decision on the grass.
Yeah.
Right. And then everything inside the house, like financial decisions, children decisions, vacation decisions.
Doesn't the grass sound real exciting?
Yes, all of that is on Linda. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's kind of sounds like us. See,
Yeah.
I told you, Addie.
Yeah. And then as far as the business part goes, you know, again, anything, office decisions, marketing decisions, financial decisions, I usually make, I mean, we discuss everything, but I
Yeah.
usually make the final decision. But when it comes to hiring of production people and sales and things like that, he really handles, he's better at that than I am. So we both work off of our strong points.
Yeah,
That's
true.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I get a little credit in there.
You do.
I get a little.
That's what
credit.
makes,
Every once in a while, I get a little credit too, Michael. Every once in a while, but it's
no, but that's what makes a great team, you know, is being able, and not
Well,
only with
especially husband
ourselves
and
as,
wife is when the
right.
husbands realize that the wives are in control. I guess that's when it seems to work best.
Well, we want to make sure they feel that way.
Whatever.
So, okay, so one thing I learned about Linda, and it wasn't surprising, but she's financially, you're very shrewd. Do you have any like tips or hints about how you become wealthy from the home improvement business?
I think you just have to pay attention, and you have to not be afraid to spend money to make money, for one. I think you cannot be afraid to spend money on good employees, because eventually they are going to make you money.
Yeah.
And you pay people well, they stay with you, they're loyal to you, and it all works. So I think that's really, really important, is that you can't be afraid to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
And I think you have to pay attention to what your true costs are and your overhead. People forget about how much overhead is in a business. So I think that's real important to pay attention to.
Knowing your numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not being afraid to charge the right amount so you get the right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't have a profit margin without doing that.
Yeah. And have you guys also over the years, you've taken money out of the business profit and put it to work in other places as well, right?
We have,
Yeah,
yes.
we've bought some real estate. Some of it is investment real estate. Some of it's just personal real estate that will eventually become inheritances. So
How long ago were you able to start to do that? The investment stuff mostly.
it started little by little. The company started out is in one room of our house. And eventually it just, with raising young children, got to be too much to have workers show up at the house every morning and things. So we bought a warehouse that we call the shop. And so at that point, that's where everybody started to meet. So at least now just the office was in the house. And then about 10 years, I think it was in 95, I finally decided that had to stop too. So we went to an auction actually and bought a condo office on auction, which Michael said, we're not spending more than X, and I kept bidding until we got it.
Yes, she did.
Has it paid off?
Yeah.
And it did
yeah.
pay off, and we're still in there to this day.
Really?
Yeah, we started out, we were only using one floor and renting the top floor, and now we use the whole place.
Wow.
So, and then we decided to build a house, and then we decided we were going to have a condo in Florida for our retirement. And my idea was, if you bought it early and got it paid off, then you could afford it while you were retired. So I always have a vision of doing things before you really need to.
I like that.
And where do you get the guts to do that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a good question. I just
always, I mean, I'm careful with money, so I just look at things, and I'm always careful about how I figure it out.
Yeah, the reason I ask you that is because when you said that, when we were standing there in the bar, and when you said that, it made so much sense to me. Like, it's going to be, you're going to have 15 years, right? You're going to take a 15-year note. I think that's what you said.
Yep.
So you got between now and 15 years to get it paid for. And in 15 years, if that's when you want to retire, whatever retirement means, it's going to be paid for. It's going to be free and clear. And I thought, wow, what forethought. I'd never really thought about it that way. But then it always begs the question was, well, how do you get the confidence, and how do you get the guts to be able to say and have that vision and be able to go execute on that vision? And
well, I think that's part of that is probably having the confidence in knowing that, I mean, you can work a little harder and put a little bit more money in the bank. Unlike somebody that has a 40-hour job, us as contractors, we get to run our own journey. Let me say, you whatever you want to put into it, you'll get out of it. But it's the want of having to put into it, and then it's following the smarts and the mistakes that everybody else has made, so you're not making them.
yeah.
Like when you said that, Linda, I also felt like there was faith, in taking that step, the knowing.
Yeah. Like I said, I watch our money very, very carefully. So I would figure out how much will it cost us a month, what will it be involved, and if I know the numbers work, I just take that leap of faith.
Yeah. Well, and again, it goes back to what you were saying earlier, is you understand the numbers, the numbers of the business. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't. It's a tough business to get a grasp on all of the numbers of, like you were saying, overhead, your real costs for doing business.
I think another thing that we've done since almost the beginning is we pay ourselves a salary just like any other employee. So the business has to learn and adapt to covering our salaries.
Yeah.
And our salaries are based on what we think our worth is. So, our salaries fall into that overhead. And then if there's profit at the end of the year, that's ours too. But you kind of have to plan on paying yourself through the whole thing, not just hope there's a profit at the end that's going to pay you.
I think a lot of people make that mistake. They're just looking for what's left in the end, what's left for me.
Yeah. I have, unfortunately, I have conversations with people, and I'll ask them, how much revenue did you do? And then I've gotten, I think people have gotten used to the idea of, me asking them, well, okay, how much money did you make? And a lot of times, I get so many different answers. Like some people will say, well, I made $150,000 last year. Well, great. You made $150,000. What'd you pay what was your salary? That's after your salary, right? Well, no, my salary is in there. Okay, well then you didn't make $150,000 last year. And on, right? So that's good. That's really good advice, actually, is the business needs to be able to pay you a living salary of what you're worth or what you would get paid if you went and worked for somebody else.
Or if you had to hire yourself in the business.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
A lot of times you might have to even pay more than you pay yourself, right? To get the talent, the quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you, let me ask this, and I'm looking at the clock here. So I always, one of the things I always wonder about is what's one thing, and maybe you guys can both answer this separately. What is one thing that you would do different? Knowing what you know today, what would you do different back then?
Start working on your business earlier in life than in it. And we hear this preached day in and day out, but it is so true that you need to, and I have friends in business that I preach this to them also. It is really hard to get out of the rut of running your business every day and overseeing every little piece of it. But it's also very hard to find the dedicated, trusted employee to turn it over to. Is it hard? When I hired my production manager, he thought he was going to be micromanaged, but I really, maybe for the first month or so, kept my close eye on him. But you got to let them. You got to let them go and see what they can do. Who has now become my GM and runs the company for us.
Nice. Linda, what about you?
It's kind of the same. You just have to trust in people, and you have to know your worth. So you might not get every job, but why do you want to do a job that you're not making any money at? So you just know your numbers. I think that's the most important thing. And I think if we had known that earlier on, we would have done a little bit better. But I mean, we didn't do bad, so I can't say it was a disaster either.
Right. Addie, I have one last question for them. Do you have any?
Yeah, so we know their secret, how they've been able to work together for 40, well, maybe 30, for decades. We'll call it decades. You've been working together for decades.
Now I sound old.
All right, sorry about that. No, but what do you each like? I would love to hear each of you respond to this. Like, what do you appreciate? You had other choices, I'm sure, throughout life on different ways to make money. You could have worked together, or you could have worked apart, right? You chose to do it together. And so there must have been, I know there's struggles because it's not always easy, but there must also have been beautiful things that came out of it. So what did each of you appreciate, throughout, during this journey? What do you appreciate looking back at what you've created together?
Time away, time together. I mean, we even at a certain point made sure Friday night was date night when the kids were growing up. Just trying to make sure that you have your own time away from the business, from the kids, just together. We had, there were getaways. There were special places that we went, Nantucket being one of them. That was just kind of our weekend getaway. Let's go find life aside from business.
Yeah.
Nice.
How about for you, Linda?
I think the thing I appreciate the most is it taught our girls how to run a relationship and still be hardworking, successful people. And we always encourage them to be very independent thinking, strong women. So I think that's the thing that I appreciate the most, is they all really learned that lesson, and they're all have done very well for themselves. So
that's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Well, that answered some of my last question, which was going to be like, what are some tips for working together as husband and wife and as business partners? And early on, Michael gave us a really good piece of advice. But do you have any other, besides the fact that, speaking as the man in the relationship, let them have control of everything and basically just do what they tell you to do.
It's not a bad thing.
It's not,
enjoy it.
you know what? There are worse things in life. It's actually worked out pretty good for me too. I'm working on it though. You're a lot better at it than I am, as it shows, because you're smiling all the time. So I'm still getting there. That's why I said to Addie earlier, look, I'm getting there. 20 something years. I'm almost there, I think. But seriously though, I mean, it's tough. It's tough being in business. It's tough just being married. So any parting advice on how you've done it so well?
I really think respecting each other and listening to each other and appreciating what each person brings to the table. I mean, I think that works in business and in life. And then as long as you can make each other smile and laugh.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you wander across those lines, but you got to get back there pretty quick to that neutral zone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, I appreciate both of you, and I appreciate your being clients for so long, but also, your friendship and your support, and for coming on here and sharing with us some of your insights and about your business. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And
Thanks for having us.
I want to thank you for your company. I can't tell you I'll give you a plug that gFour has done great things for us with the reviews, and really taught us a little bit more about how to take control of that portion of our company as social media evolves. It's an enormous part of business today.
Yeah.
So that's done very well for us.
Oh, good. Well, it's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, Addie, thanks for joining me. Michael and Linda, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for the
My
time.
pleasure.
So
Thanks
all
for
of you,
having us.
sorry, Linda.
I said, thanks for having us.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, this was fun. Good to see you guys.
And to everybody listening, this is, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I know I did.
Yeah.
And until next time, this is Brian Kaskavalciyan with gFour Marketing Group, and this is the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. Let me ask you, did it help you look at your business in a different way? Did it spark an idea or ideas that you hadn't thought of before? Do you have a list of action items that you can take and implement into your business or your life today? I really hope so. If it did, I'd like to ask you a favor. Would you leave a 5-star review of the podcast? By doing so, you'll help other contractors find the podcast more easily so that we can help them achieve more success, wealth, and freedom. And before you go, make sure you subscribe to the Wealthy Contractor Podcast so you get access to the latest episodes as soon as they're available. We're always striving to provide you with great content, so you don't want to miss what's coming up. In fact, if you haven't already, make sure you go to thewealthycontractor.com and get your free copy of my latest book, The 7 Secrets to Becoming a Wealthy Contractor. Just pay shipping and handling, and I'll take care of the cost of the book. And finally, a big thanks to gFour Marketing for sponsoring the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. For over 12 years now, gFour Marketing has been the secret back office relationship marketing team for hundreds of home improvement and home service businesses just like yours. You get the customer, and our proven system turns that customer into 5-star reviews and profitable repeat and referral business. If your home improvement or home services company completes at least 10 jobs per month, they have a solution that will work for you. To find out more, sign up for your free, no obligation, 10-minute discovery call at www.gfourmarketing.com/strategy. That's gFour marketing.com/strategy. Set your discovery call up today, and they'll help you set your business up for long-term profits and success. So until next time, this is Brian Kaskavalciyan.